So I'm going to India next week, and I've been to India many times, and historically, I do okay with the jet lag. I mean, it wipes me out a little bit, but ever since I've turned 50, I'll be 54 this year, the trip back and forth really wipes me out. So a couple things I'm going to talk about in this video. Number one, I'm going to try to science out my sleep a little bit better so that I'm not quite so jet lagged when I get there, and also when I come back so I can jump right back into work. And the second thing is I usually don't really exercise much while I'm there. So I'm gonna have an exercise plan and a sleep plan before I go, and we're gonna talk about it. Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. I'd like to be a physical therapist out of Integrated Physical Therapy in Bellingham, Washington. So if you've been to the channel before, you know that although I live in the US, my parents are from India and they are currently 84 and 90 and they live back in India. I was supposed to go back in February of 2020. And then there was this rumbling of this little virus. And so I was like, I better wait. Maybe I'll just go in the fall if it turns out to be nothing. Well, of course, it wasn't nothing. The world shut down and India closed down and they're finally opened up again. They're currently 12 and a half hours ahead. And so this time I thought I'd be a little bit smarter so that I'm not as affected by the jet lag. And also to my exercise plan. I'm used to exercising every day. Obviously, I'm not going to have access to gym equipment and things like that in India in my parents' little apartment. But I got a little smarter this year and I'm taking a TRX. So let's talk about both those things.
So this time on my trip to India, I decided to be a little bit smarter. And it's 13 and a half hours ahead from Bellingham to Mumbai, where my parents live. And usually the jet lag, especially as I'm over 50 now, is just wicked. And it takes me a solid 3-4 days just to even kind of start to get my day and night straight. So what I had was I tried to be a little bit smarter this time. And I was going to try to have a plan to minimize my jet lag using light exposure, the time I ate, and exercise. First, get a quick definition of what jet lag is. All of us have this 24-hour circadian rhythm that kind of governs everything that we do from a metabolic standpoint in the body. Digestion, sleep, when we repair tissues, our metabolism, everything is predicated on this 24-hour-ish cycle called your circadian rhythms. Jet lag basically is that your internal clock doesn't match up with the external situation. Not only is it a sleep disorder, but if you've ever been jet lagged, you know that you don't think well, your digestion's affected, your mood's off. And it's basically when your circadian rhythms don't match the local day and night schedule. So for example, I get into India at about 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning, which is about my 12 o'clock at noon. So I'd be ready to go. But in reality, I should be just dead tired and asleep. So I tried to science it a little bit and put some thought into my plan before I left. In order to affect your jet lag before you even leave for your trip, you have to determine your temperature minimum during sleep, which is basically approximately 2 hours before you wake up. So take an average of a few days. On average, I get up at about 6 o'clock in the morning. So my temperature minimum is going to be about 4 a.m. Now you need to determine whether or not you need to phase advance or phase delay your 24-hour circadian rhythm. If you are flying east to a later time zone like I am, or even if you're going from Seattle to New York, a later time zone, I'm going from Seattle to Mumbai, so I'm going to phase advance my schedule. And the way in which I'm going to phase advance my schedule is I'm going to try to get up earlier in the day, find out my temperature minimum time. So in my situation, it's 4 a.m. And then for the 4 or 5 hours after that temperature minimum, I'm going to try to get as much bright light as I can. What that bright light does is it increases cortisol and suppresses melatonin and basically tricks my brain to thinking, oh, this must be daylight. So let's take a look at my actual plan. So my normal sleep schedule is approximately go to bed at about 10, get up at about 6 a.m. So that would make my temperature minimum about 4 a.m. So I decided to try 3 days worth of prep work before I left. So day one, I got up a little bit earlier. I got up at about 5 a.m., tried to go to bed about 9. And then right when I got up, I exposed myself to bright lights from 5 a.m. to about 9 a.m. And it's dark, so I obviously kind of sat in front of one of these bright lights here. Don't have one of these lights, try to get an overhead light or basically as much light as you can. Day two, try to go to bed a little bit earlier because you're going to get up an hour earlier. So now you're going to get up at 4 a.m. Same thing, you get up, bright light, obviously not to a point of hurting your eyes, but as much bright light as you can handle from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. Once it gets bright outside, then of course the best type of light is to go outside, but at 4 a.m. it's going to be dark. Here in Bellingham, it doesn't get light till maybe 6:37. Day 3, that was the big one. 7 p.m., go to bed, which ain't going to happen, and then get up at 3. So I am in day 3. So tonight I'm going to try to go to bed early, but either way, I will be up at 3 a.m. And once again, sitting where I am right now with a bright light in my face for as much time as I can handle from about 3 a.m. to 7 to phase advance my clock. And then day 4, I get up and I fly to India. It's a 14-hour flight from Seattle to Dubai, a 3-hour layover in Dubai, and then a short little flight from Dubai to India, which is maybe 2 to 3 hours. So a couple of other things that I'm going to try to do this time is, as much as I want to, I'm going to avoid all stimulants. So no coffee, tea, alcohol, no wine, no beer, nothing. I'm going to try to adjust to the local time zone, especially with eating and exercise as soon as possible. So for example, I get into India at about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. By the time I get to my parents' place, it might be 3 or 3:30 in the morning. What I'm going to do is not eat at that point in time, even though it's going to feel like the early afternoon for my body. I'm not going to eat because typically I wouldn't eat at 3 o'clock in the morning if I was here. So I'll wait, and I usually like to exercise in the morning. So I might just kill some time. After the exercise, I'm going to go ahead and have some breakfast and try to get myself back on to that local time schedule as soon as I can. Another tip is to hydrate. So for every hour of fly time, it's not a bad idea to get at least 1 glass of water in. So that is my plan as far as the jet lag is concerned. Now let's talk about my exercise plan.
The nice thing about the TRX is that it's very mobile and it just hooks right over your door. Just make sure the door is shut properly. I keep my program pretty basic, and so I'm going to go over the things that I use the TRX for. As you can see, it's a pretty basic workout, but the whole idea is that I'm going to keep my fitness mobile and I'm going to take it with me. In the past, when I've gone to India, I haven't had the TRX, and I've done a few push-ups and sit-ups, and then afterwards I'm just like, nah. But I'm going to have a plan this time, and the goal is to at least keep what I have going. I don't expect to gain a whole lot of strength in the 3 weeks that I'm there, but the idea is I'm not taking 3 weeks off and then coming back to it and having to start back at ground zero again.
And I'll be posting updates in my Facebook group, and I'll put the link down below as to see how the plan is actually panning out. So if you have any questions, please let me know. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider joining us. It's a fun journey, and I will talk to you guys soon. All right, next time I'll talk to you will be from India. All right, take care. Bye.